Alright, haulers, hello and welcome back to Euro Truck Simulator 2. So, we are still in Katowice where we dropped off last. It is now about midnight. We have got a call for a tractor that needs to get brought down to the Czech Republic, I believe to Brno, B-R-N-O. So, we're going to quickly run over, grab that, and get on our way. Alright, so we're in the truck. Let's go ahead and let's get her started here. Get everything turned on. Make sure our lights are correct. Get our GPS up. And let's go ahead and let's get her going. Alright, so I had the truck serviced while we were here. That's why it's so late. Everything seems to be good. Put in about 200 euros worth of work just to get a few things cleaned up and taken care of. Turn signal seems to be working a little better than it was before. Very happy with that. I know this. I'm looking forward to the day I get to put a new dash in this truck, but I am gonna... Ooh, we're gonna go. Damn it. Somehow I didn't make that. Alright, I guess that's what I get. That was a very fast light. I didn't realize. My bad. Oh well. But as I was saying... Oh, come on, dude. I'm super excited for the day that I get to put a new dash in here so I can have my turn signals be separate. But I'm gonna kind of be heartbroken because I like this dash. The only thing I don't like about it is that the turn signals are on the same light. Why they're not separate blows my freaking mind. I guess I can go because I got the yield. Now, so let's talk about, and the thing is the paperwork's all done too, so we just literally pull in, grab this and go. I guess it's a rush job, so. But, I think I've discussed it before. Those lights when they're flashing, here the way that it works is if it's a flashing red, you treat it as a stop sign. If it's flashing yellow, you treat it as a yield. Or not as a yield, but you typically will slow down. Most people just go right through it like that. It's supposed to be more of a green, I guess. It's hard to explain how we do things, because we're dumb. But I guess it's very different all over the world. I guess this is our cargo here, so we're going to pull up to back up to it. Holy cow, that's a Challenger. Yep, that looks like a Challenger to me. That's a hell of a tractor right there. Someone's spent some good money. Go ahead, let's get hooked up to it. Guess I gotta be careful with this. And it is hanging off the trailer, so it might mean beacons. I'm not 100% certain. It didn't say on the paperwork, so I think that's kind of at my discretion. I think we'll see just how much it's hanging off and then go from there. I think I must have missed somehow. So let's double check here that I wasn't just going too slow. Oh, goodness. It like slipped out of the fifth wheel. Just hit the back of my truck. That's not good. Yeah, I can feel it hitting the fifth wheel. Off maybe to the left. Nope. This one doesn't like me. Man, I'm so disappointed because last episode, if I'm not mistaken, we had a really good backup too. There we go. Didn't really change much, just changed the speed. I guess it was just too fast, so it was skipping up over. Alright, I'm gonna take a look at this trailer. I'm gonna hop out, check it, and see if I think beacons are necessary. Alright, back in the truck here. I took a look around, and it's not a heavy load, but I think it's worth beacons just because of how wide it is, and there's no flags on the trailer either. I think it's supposed to have some kind of marker, but it doesn't, so hopefully we don't get stopped for that. But we'll flick on our beacons once we actually hit the road. I don't want to do it in the yard just because it's a distraction to other people. But once we get further out here on the road, And some people are typically surprised at me doing that, but it's just like some of the ambulance drivers will watch that thing there. Some of the ambulance drivers I know, like if you're getting on the highway, if you're on a ramp or something like that, they won't actually turn their, I guess we'll call them beacons just for the sake of simplicity. They won't turn their beacons on. If like, so say you have to get on the highway, stay in the same exit lane. I think we're gonna have to wait here. So say the scenario is this. You're going to enter the highway at one point, only to stay in that same lane, which is the exit lane, and get off at the next exit because you're trying to get across town. What they'll do is they'll hit the on-ramp for the highway, shut their lights off, and won't turn them back on until they get to the interchange at the next, like when they get off the highway next. And the reason most do that is because people tend to panic more than anything when they see lights for some reason. So they'll do all kinds of weird, stupid crap when they see lights come up behind them, and I think that's really wise. And one of the other things too is, you know, one of the things that I learned is, you know, when I was on the fire department, lights can be a distraction. So say you've got you're middle of the night, there's a car crash, you're sitting on the side of the road, you've got all the lights on this engine on, you've got all this, and people are trying to slowly make their way through on this dark, non-lit, you know, 2-lane road. People are going to be rubbernecking, being obnoxious about it. Always happens. Excuse me. And with that, they're going to not only be, distracted by that, they're going to be kind of blinded by the lights of the vehicle. So you got to kind of be careful about how you handle that. One of the things too is, because I was in a small town, people would respond in their personal vehicles. We called them POVs. So people would have, you know, their daily driver, car, truck, whatever, and they would put lights on it. And with that, you required a couple of things. The first is called at least for here, it was called a red light permit. So you had to have a permit to put lights on your vehicle. Some people didn't put lights, some people just turned their four-ways on, and that was kind of the signal of, hey, you know, I've got to get somewhere, please let me by. Oh, this is tight. Oh, this is tight. I want to watch this on both sides. This would be a perfect opportunity for lights facing backwards, like spotlights. They don't even have to be bright, just putting them facing backwards so I can see what's on the trailer on the edge of it. And we're good to go here. Go ahead, we'll move over. But yeah, you required that. So like a red light permit, there was a couple other things you had to kind of meet the criteria for. Some people were a little obnoxious about it. I mean, you don't need to have a Christmas tree or something like that. Storm chasing too, that's something I see all the time at storm chasing conferences. I'm someone who particularly likes LED lights and lighting up a vehicle. I'm not a Christmas tree type person. I like having it be subtle, but still, you know, you want to be visible. You want people to see you. But there are some people that storm chase that seem to think they need to go into this truck stop, buy every flashing bit of light they see on the wall, strap it to some place on their car, and go down the road like a freaking Christmas tree, just lights on everywhere. And so that's something that always comes up in, you know, conferences and stuff like that too, is like, you know, you're just causing a distraction to the other drivers who are already, you know, it's probably pouring rain, it's probably all this. Like, one of the groups, I believe it's Iowa Storm Chasing Network, you know, on their cars, all they have is like an arrow stick in the back and a couple lights on the front, I believe. You know, stuff like that makes sense. One of the guys I followed for years, I forget his name, I believe his name was David, and he was on a weather station down south. He did all of his stuff for himself for a long time and then got into this weather station. And he has an LED light bar on his truck, and that's it. Just enough that people say, hey, okay, this guy's, you know, one, clearly a storm chaser, so this means either we need to get the heck out of here and find shelter, or he's in the middle of something, you know, dangerous. And so people will kind of take note of that. So stuff like that makes sense to me, but some people just don't understand it. So that comes up all the time, which is why I'm so hesitant to use beacons or stuff like that. And the only reason I am right now is because it's obviously night. We're gonna be on what I figure will be a pretty busy motorway. If it was a back road, I don't know if I would worry about it as much, depending on the size of the road. I would kind of just tend to ride to the side more, but the thing is there's no marker lights that sit in front of where it sticks out to. So it's really, really hard to see in the dark, especially since it's that dark tread. One of the other things too is it's just letting people know, hey, I've got something that's super wide. Why is my truck struggling all of a sudden? Come on. But it's just a nice warning to other drivers of, hey, you know, this is what's going on. The other thing too is, you know, there's two things that I think. If you decide to live near a motorway or you decide to live near a highway, you have to understand that you're going to deal with noise, with lights, with stuff like that. But there is some level of, you know, responsibility people who drive on the highways can take or drive on the motorway to limit what they're doing. You know, things like if you're driving, like if I'm in American Truck Simulator, if it's nighttime, I won't jake brake. Just for the sake of, you know, people, you know, early morning, late evening, nighttime, you don't want to hear a truck rumbling through the city. And I know that from experience. I grew up in a small town where people just, you know, they don't care. And we lived right next to a hill with a steep grade on it. And trucks, at 5 o'clock in the morning, we'd hear dump trucks jake braking down that hill every morning without fail. And as much as I love the sound of it, after a while it gets kind of old. Being on the fire department, that comes back again. Some places it's a law of if you have your lights on, you have to have your siren on or something like that. But your average fire department, I'm kind of swerving here a little bit, gotta watch out. Your average fire department or your average emergency service will most likely turn their siren off at night unless it's absolutely necessary, just for the sake of not disturbing people. You've already got your lights on, that's enough of a distraction and disturbance in and of itself. You know, let's kind of try and maintain some level of friendliness and intelligence and not disturb people that bad. But there's that's the thinking I have behind it. Kind of the training and the learning that I have growing up and stuff like that feeds into it. And so that's kind of why I do the things I do with that. I think beacons are a tool. A lot of people, and I see this especially in multiplayer, people who have, you know, 50 beacons on the roof of their truck. I mean, that's just obnoxious. I understand, like, there seems to be very much this culture in Europe of drivers just putting tons and tons and tons of crap on their truck. You know, and that seems to be kind of a global thing, because if you go, I believe, like to India, or you go to, you know, places like that, they'll paint their trucks, like hand paint their trucks, the entirety of it. Oh no. This is not good. I only got one car behind. Oh, come on. Are you gonna let me go? Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. I'm gonna be the bad driver today. I saw that sign and it looked like it had 2 arrows pointing down, so I thought this was 2 lanes going across, not 1. I guess that was just me not paying attention. I wouldn't ever do that in real life. I would go off the exit, and I've done it before. I remember accidentally, like, I meant to go, like, we have, was it 295, 95, something like that up here, the other end of it. Get on the highway in Bangor. I meant to go south, I accidentally went north, and it took me probably a good 15 minutes to hit the next exit, and then finally turn around on the exit. It's just like, oh, okay, whoops. But yeah, back to what I was saying. On multiplayer especially, I see a lot of people that have just insane beacons, and they'll run them. They'll be hauling just a standard box trailer. And it's just like, you know, just don't be obnoxious. Just be respectful to the other people on the road. There's no need to be a distraction, to have all this crap. Not that anyone in multiplayer seems to care about any of that stuff. I mean, there are channels that thrive off of the fact that people are dickheads on multiplayer. I mean, just because of cars ramming each other and people doing all this stuff. And that's why I really don't do multiplayer anymore. I love it, but there's two things that I struggle with it. The mods seem to have this kind of back and forth attitude of either we know it all or trying to be respectful and handle things, and I'm not sure what to believe anymore on that front. I think it's because they've got so many people in their group now. I mean, I fully understand it, but it's kind of hard to understand how it's being handled, especially with a lot of the obnoxious behavior. They've been really, really good to me in the past, but the overall ratio of reports I've put in versus people actually getting taken care of is very, very low. And most of the time I've had video content to back it up. And typically when I do, it goes through. But there's the occasion where they just don't seem to review it for weeks, and then they finally review it and say, oh, it's been too long. And it's just like, okay, what? That makes no sense to me. That's only happened a few times, so it is what it is. I think right now every one of them has been cleared out. And I have had to make a new account a couple of times too. And that's not from like being banned or something. I've never been banned on Truckers MP. I've tried really, really hard to not get banned and to be a respectful driver, but I will say this. Them doing the thing of making it so that there's a specific server for people who want to just be insane makes sense. I just wish they had a little bit more of a tight hand on moderation in the other servers. And I will say this, what surprises me, because when I think, I don't know, at least when I think British, I think most of the time they're more courteous than here in America. When I think Europe in general, it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Like, parts of it just seem like, from my perspective, I don't obviously know because I've never really been to these places, but, you know, there are certain countries where there seems to be this very obnoxious attitude among drivers, and not that there isn't in the US. But one thing that kind of, I don't know if maybe it's just the scale too, it seems like people on American Truck Sim multiplayer tend to be kind of nicer and more respectful to other people. But then the people who are being shitheads are way worse than in Euro Truck, I think. There's just so many more of them in the Euro Truck servers. And I don't know, maybe that's changed. Maybe they've done a lot more to kind of handle things, because it's been quite a while since I've properly driven. But I don't know. I would hope that's the case. I would hope they're putting some sort of effort into it. But I think the truck sim community is a very mixed bag of people. You've got people that are very passionate, very friendly. But with that, as in every community, there's a few bad apples. And that, I don't know. I don't understand why people have to be the way they have to be. And I'm never going to, I don't think. It's just, I wish people took a little more responsibility for what they do and were kind of more nice to each other. It would just be a nice change. And it seems like we're kind of going down that path. I don't know if something's happened in the last few years or something, but, or I shouldn't say years, months. But people seem to have been, you know, for a long time, you know, especially like I would open up Twitter and every post was mostly negative or stuff like that. And I just got kind of sick of it for a while. But it seems like everyone's kind of changing their attitude about things and trying to be kind of better about it. And I don't know if it's just that most of the people I follow are kind of in the same boat as me, where they're growing as time goes on, or what, but, and I don't know. I guess we're going right here. Yeah, I don't know. Stuff's changing quite a bit, and it's just nice to see it kind of changing for the better in some ways. I know this. I don't know if I've discussed it yet, but I was very, very pleased to see YouTube making their decision on how copyright's handled. I think it's a little late on their part. I think they should have implemented some sort of process a lot sooner. But, you know, maybe we'll have a No Man's Sky type of situation. I was pissed with No Man's Sky, but they seem to, I guess, have turned it around for some people. Not for me. I'm still disappointed in how they handled it, but But maybe YouTube will get to a point where they're being more mature about things and handling things in a way that makes this whole platform kind of better for everyone. I've been kind of focusing on what they're doing a little more, and it's been nice to see things slowly, you know, obviously there's still the occasional screw up, but I mean, a few huge things have happened this year, which is really cool. And I guess PewDiePie too, I guess he just hit 1 million subs or something like that. Like, that's insane. I don't know how that even can happen. I really don't. I'm just waiting for the day I hit 1,000. That'd be awesome. I think it'll happen eventually, and I'll have this video to look back on when it does. We'll go ahead and I wasn't paying attention, trying to maneuver my way in. We'll turn our beacons off because there's really no need for them in here when we're just cleaning up our parking. We'll straighten this trailer out. I guess this is the farm that needed the tractor. I think this will bring in about like 7,000 euros too. I don't know if I talked about that. Alright, let's go ahead and let's drop this one off. Alright, we're back in the truck. Turns out the farm, they offered me a quick trip here. This trailer here has pork on it that needs to just get brought into town to the distribution center. I guess the person that they had originally planned to hire for it just canceled on them, and this needs to get there this morning to be distributed. So we're just gonna pick this up, run into town, and that way we can make a couple extra thousand, which is not bad. Oops, I think I'm off here. I also didn't put my 4-ways on, but that's okay. It's a quiet little farm. I'm not too horribly concerned. Nope. I think I gotta straighten out. Yep, just like that. Yeah, I figure it would be nice this morning. We'll take this in for him because we still got drive time left, and nice little calm trip to kind of cap things off. But yeah, I guess this literally is just going right to a distribution center, so it's not really like it's a huge deal. They were very pleased to see the tractor because I guess they need to, I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess they just needed it pretty quick. A little quick there coming off, but that's okay. We'll make our way this way. But yeah, overall I'm pretty pleased with kind of how everything's going right now. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't understand like the whole thing of PewDiePie hitting 100 million and right behind him getting married too. I don't know if that was intentional, I really don't, but I mean, congrats to him. That's awesome. For both things, really. Obviously, one stands out more than the other, which is him getting married. That's more meaningful in my opinion, but it's the whole thought of him hitting 1 million subs blows my mind because, you know, most people don't compare to him. I mean, you've got people with 10 million subs and stuff like that. I don't really ever see anyone with more than 10 million subs. So the whole thought of someone having that big of a gap doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to like rain on his parade. It's just, I wonder how many of those accounts aren't used anymore, are fake, or you know, all of this stuff. I mean, that's why it was such a big deal when that other, you know, that Indian group or whatever it was. Oh, I guess 100 million isn't too ridiculous. It's just, I'm thinking in terms of the amount of people that use this platform. The fact that many would go to this one person. I mean, I guess it makes sense because obviously the bigger he grew, the more exposure he seems to have gotten. So anyone that would have come to the site would have known PewDiePie because he was basically, if you mentioned YouTube, most people thought PewDiePie. If you were talking, you know, just standard gaming, well, I don't know gaming, but just creation in general. I don't know, the whole thing just blows my mind. Especially, you know, I grew up with YouTube in some ways, obviously not to the level of others because, you know, it came out when I was, you know, too young to understand what it was. It took me a long time to really grasp how it worked, and I wasn't there for when it was, you know, the grinding early days of it. But when I started watching creators, you know, 30,000 subs blew my mind. 30,000 views blew my mind. And now that's the norm, is 60,000, 100,000, millions of views. You know, there are channels I watch that, you know, they bring in 200,000 views a video, and that blows my freaking mind. People with, you know, it used to be that 100,000 subs was insane. I mean, that was the benchmark for what made you stand out from the rest, was the fact that you were able to hit such high numbers. And now it seems like that's just the norm, is going beyond that, going to 1 million, and that's insane to me. I don't know, honestly. I hope maybe I'll reach a point in my life where I get to say, like, hey, you know, I've got 100,000 subs, but to me it's obviously not the subs that matter. It's, you know, it's more watch time and stuff. I mean, it still matters, but I have hopes. I just don't have super high hopes. And if that happens, honestly, I will lose my shit. That would literally be so awesome. And it's not, for me, it's not about trying to be, it's not about bragging rights. It's not about, it's hard to explain. It's not about, you know, I'm trying to put words to it. But for me, to get that many subs isn't, yeah, I think the main point is it's not about bragging rights or anything like that. It's just having the knowledge that that many people cared about what I produced to actually follow me and, like, keep in touch in a way. That's what subscribers mean to me, is like people, it shows me the people that truly care about what I'm making and support what I'm making, and those are the kind of people I want to be around when it comes to the things I'm doing in life. And that's why that matters to me. Obviously, with it, you get a little bit of bragging rights, but I don't, it's kind of childish to me to brag about stuff like that in some ways, like, oh, we've got more subs than you and stuff like that. It's like, I can understand that to a certain extent, but some people like to go a little overboard with that. And that's what I don't understand. I don't know if I'm too far over or not. Yep, I am. But not to the side I thought I was. I think we gotta hit the doors with this one, so. I also just saw a video from some Dutch guy. I barely understood what he was saying, because I was using auto-translate and trying to, like, Google words and figure out what he was saying. But it was this, like, how-to video, basically making deliveries and stuff with, like, instead of it being a single trailer like what I've got on now, it's, you know, you've got the box unit on the back of the truck itself, and it's a commercial truck, it's all one unit, and then it pulls a trailer, which is another box unit. And I finally got to see, like, if they back up to doors, that they have this little flap in the middle, and that's how they get through, and that blew my freaking mind. That's not something we do here. So I thought that was really cool. It's really smart, too. Alright, let's go ahead and let's drop this. Well, it wasn't too bad. An extra 1,500 euros for somewhere we already kind of needed to go to, which is in town. I am very pleased with that. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying this again. I wish I had a little more time to kind of put into stuff again, but hopefully down the road. And I think, again, talking about YouTube, I think that's one of the things people misunderstand. Everyone seems to think, you know, people are in it for the money. And yes, the money is there, and it's a part of it. I think for a lot of people, the real goal, what they physically want, and honestly, it's something that I would be more interested in, is the money gives you financial freedom to be able to do what you do, with your passion, with your creativity, as a proper job. So you get more time, like that trade-off. But you get that trade-off of, if you make money here on the platform, then you can put that money towards the things that you'd normally have to worry about. So you don't need to work anymore. In terms of like a regular, if you were to work retail or something like that, you don't have to do that anymore. And that gives you more time. And then you can buy a better computer and you can make better content or things like that. It allows you to do what you love doing and make a living off it. My goal would be nothing more than that. Like, I'm not trying to be out here being a millionaire. I just want to be able to be creative, be who I am, and make a living doing something I love doing. And I think people read into that sort of stuff all wrong, and I don't know why, but it really disappoints me. I know there are some people that seem to be very, very greedy when some of that stuff comes to mind as people like some of these esports groups or like certain clans are pretty nasty about stuff to each other. I'm not gonna like name anyone in particular, but I'm sure many people know some. It's just like, that attitude just disappoints me about this stuff. For me, it's just about being able to do what I want to do, and in some ways I'm already doing that. I mean, the way I make a living right now is through my job, which is a graphic designer. And that for me, when I was a kid, I stopped, and I'll talk about this probably more in the next episode or somewhere, but I stopped, like, when I was younger. Whoa, why did it skip out? When I was younger, I quit designing because I got bullied, and I only got back into it recently and turned it into a career in just a couple of years. So stuff like that. It's just nice to be able to enjoy work. I was tired of working in a warehouse, and it's just nice to not have to do that anymore. But I guess we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna sit in the truck because it's raining, obviously. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. So if you guys enjoyed it, leave a like. If you didn't, you know what to do. If you really, really liked it, there's a subscribe button you can hit. And if you really, 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 really liked it, there's a little bell icon next to that subscribe button that will notify you every time I upload, hopefully. And yeah, let me know you guys' thoughts on stuff like this, some of the situations on YouTube, stuff like that, in the comments down below. But I will see you in the next one. Peace.